Hey yo, what a div, y'all. Let's get right into it. The Settlers reboot is right around the corner, right? Like we are very, very close to our second league start at 325, which, love it or hate it is what it is. And in fact, if you're watching this video, probably because you're down for the idea at the very least to have some fun, and specifically down to get the idea behind, practicing how to league start in Sanctum. That's what we're here to talk about, right? How do you actually league start in Sanctum? Because that's a lot different than just, oh yeah, I've got like 30 divs to my name. I'm gonna create a quick Sanctum runner and go check out the Forbidden Sanctum. It's a very different game in there when your character is weak as buns, right? It's a different game in there when you aren't just absolutely turbo blowing everything up in one shot. And that's something that you're gonna need time to get used to, and you're gonna do some studying for it. And that's why we're here on this video. So before we get into it, hey, look, if you find this useful, you know the deal. Like, comment, subscribe, get the video out to more people so that they can learn how to league start Sanctum and so that you can make a shit ton of divines. Now, let's get into it. So, one, most important thing about this, picking a good build. I don't really emphasize the importance of your build often in my content because I think it's a little overstated, generally speaking, in just the content world about the importance of having a strong build at all times, right? And like having a strong league starter. This is one of those cases where I am going to advocate very heavily for it because you're not just playing Path of Exile, right? You're not just, I'm just, gonna cruise through the acts, progress my Atlas, maybe go 115 out of 115, do some mapping, have some good times in T16s, farms up some money. Like, that's not what we're talking about, right? We're not talking about generic gameplay. We're talking about Sanctum. Sanctum has specific gear checks regarding the amount of damage that your character actually needs to deal in order to clear the content. Not even just efficiently, but the ability to actually clear the content in a way that makes you feel comfortable doing it so that you don't break the Sanctums, whether that be to raw damage, as in your character dies, or like resolve loss, right? Sanctum is one of those types of mechanics. And so, side note, if you didn't know these things about Sanctum, you should go watch my Sanctum guide and be aware of what you're getting yourself into. I got a nice 50-minute guide where I talk about a lot of the details, pretty much all the details about Sanctum, as well as recommend some builds in a different video talking about like the builds that I recommend for Sanctum. I'll give you my top two here very quickly, or Penance Brand of Dissipation, Hex Blast Mines, and then as a bonus one, Bama. Those three skills are skills that I highly recommend for league starting at Sanctum because they are strong starts. It's not just, oh, this skill can do Sanctum eventually. It is that they can do it early. That's the thing about league starting Sanctum. When you decide that you want to commit to a league start in Sanctum, you need a build that can get you in there quickly because there is still an excessive amount of money to be made before the market really like saturates. And so build, number one. Everybody got that? Put that in your notepad. Build. Now, number two is the strategy, right? How are you actually going to look to make money? There's a number of different ways to do it, right? Again, check out the comprehensive guide. I have like cheat sheets on there and everything for like full strategies. But the major way that most people will make their money early on is through a combination of, one, the raw currency drops that come from Sanctum, right? Like the chaos, the GCPs, the glass blowers, the what's the other one I'm thinking about? Oh, the divines, the really important one, right? Like all the currency that you get in Sanctum is a large part of your money, but also quant farming tends to be the way to go early on in order to get the unique relics. Unique relics have a lot of value, especially early league. Much like bossing, like think like, Uber Elder farming and whatnot. There's a lot of value in the actual unique items from the bosses early on before the market is saturated with them. And especially because people need them, right? Hex Blast Mines is one of the most popular builds in the game right now. And especially amongst Sanctum runners, Sandstorm Visage is kind of just that item. Dropping a Chains of Castigation from one of your Sanctum runs is going to massively line your pockets, right? Dropping Original Scripture is always going to line your pockets. Although I have a note about Original Scripture towards the end of this, right? Or, just getting some gilded chalices and our divinities for the money farmers, getting those early on and selling them off and getting your pockets lined out. All very good ways to get yourself some extra early money, as well as some other stuff, right? Now, I have one addendum to the strategy piece, right? Because these are common strategies. These are strategies that work all league. And the only real difference here is that, well, doing them early, the uniques have more value and stuff. One amendment to this is that it's usually not worth it to farm relics, like magic relics, early league, or not early league, later in the league, right? Because, well, the market's already kind of saturated out and whatnot, and the cost of getting them is not too bad, so you're not really like making all that much by instead of sacrificing the other types of drops you could be getting. Early league, this is not the case though. People need those quant relics I mentioned earlier. People need the merchant relics still. People need, coin relics and whatnot, right? And so, I believe in my comprehensive guide, I actually did feature a bonus strategy for coins that you could use. I recommended it primarily for SSF players, actually, because it is a really good way to get your relic collection up in SSF, but it is also very relevant at the start of the league, and that is through using the first crest. The first crest has reward options for relics, tainted currency, and experience. The relics version is really strong for getting Sanctum relics. You can generate like almost an entire inventory worth of relics on the floor. It's actually really annoying when that happens, because then you straight up like don't have enough inventory space to carry them all out, so you can like 5-1 them and whatnot. But that's a really good way to get relics built up. There's also the tainted currency one is worth noting for the same reason. People do need tainted currency early, right? Especially tainted fusings. If you've ever done mapping strategies that involve beyond early in the league, you're very aware of this. So picking a strategy that makes you your money is very important as well. Number 3, if you're expecting to make instant money off of Sanctum and you don't know how to actually do Sanctum in this early league do Sanctum normally speaking, right? You may not have done early league Sanctum before, but I expect you to know how to have done Sanctum, right? Again, if you don't know a lot about Sanctum, go check out the guide. But a part of the expectation is that you definitely are comfortable in Sanctum, normally speaking, so that you can identify things that would actually be more problematic on lower investment. Example, the battle arena rooms, such as Desecrated Crypts rooms and the 4th floor, are always pretty cringe for most runs. They're especially bad when your time to kill on the guards is low, air quotes, and it's due to the amount of area denial that occurs in the arena and therefore chip damage on your resolve that you take. So you need to be aware of that, right? Maybe you need to be aware that your character is currently geared to a point where you will die to certain attacks. You really have to play safe. Or, bonus points, be comfortable playing ZHP. Right? Maybe you don't literally play ZHP, but you're more like comfortable with the idea of ZHP, either if you need it for more damage or just so you're very, very comfortable with not taking damage. Little things like that are going to massively accelerate your ability to make money in Sanctum at the start of a league. Okay, now I have a gameplay specific recommendation as it pertains to like this early game, low investment situation. And it is specifically, do not be afraid to sacrifice your defenses for damage. Do not be afraid to do that. Like if you are comfortable with it at all, you should do it. It is going to massively speed up your Sanctums, and speed is king, as it always is. It's why if you've seen my Hex Blast guide, I even talk about how much I love Lightning Warp on the character, even though it's not a movement skill you traditionally associate with a Hex Blaster, because of how important speed is. And so speed is, of course, the ability to move your character, but also the ability to actually quickly remove targets. So don't be afraid to invest in that as well. Now, all of those things aside, there's only really one more major tip to cover, and that's pricing. Because I've had this conversation with people before about how they think that Sanctums are overpriced early league. And the reality is that if mappers didn't drop them in such ridiculous quantities, I guarantee you Sanctum runners would be willing to pay like half a div per anyways, because of how much raw return you just get on Sanctums, right? So be prepared to pay for Sanctums early. They do kind of cost a bit. Early league, they can sometimes be as much as 1 div per 3 if you're buying them in bulk, which, related advice, don't buy them in bulk early league. Be a bit of a bitch. Absolutely hate your life for it, sure. But actually buy them one by one. It saves you like 40% or more on on Sanctum tones, right? It saves you a lot of money on getting your tones, which therefore increases your profit margins, and therefore, you can buy more upgrades. Okay, now, on the note of upgrades, upgrade your fucking character. Like, your money is not being made to just sit on a wall and be stared at. You need to upgrade your character because you need to get out of low Sanctums as fast as possible. As always, the goal with all content in PoE is to be farming them at the highest level relative to the rewards that they provide. And we all know that Sanctum is at its most rewarding when you are clicking on rooms that are benefiting from that are giving you the max amount of reward like at the end. Whether that be the Divines, which actually does not scale with eye level at all, or if you're clicking on Chaos or GCPs or Glassblowers, which all do scale with Chaos, or you're looking for Relics, which those do scale with eye level, right? All of these things scale with a lot of the things you care about in Sanctum scale with eye level, so you need to be able to move up the ranks quickly. How do you get to that point? Damage. Upgrade your character. Last piece of advice. When we're talking about rewards in the Sanctum, it's very, very important to know that early on, it is fine to just click end of run, right? Or, any of the bubblegum currency stuff. Bubblegum currency goes for a lot. Remember, you're a Sanctum runner. You don't actually need a lot of these currencies, right? What the fuck are you going to do with Vol Orbs? You're in the Sanctum. Who cares about those maps? Sell them off. Get you some more chaos so you can buy more tomes, right? Like bubblegum crazy is still really strong, or excess GCPs or glass blowers, also high potential to be worth something. Sell them off, get some money, right? Bubblegum currencies do in fact sell very well. They're also, again, if you're in SF, very strong for like padding out your collection that you need to get, right? So don't be afraid to take those rewards. And it's worth noting, if you're curious about the actual reward tiering, it's by map tiers. Like the map colors are when the rewards tier up, right? So any Sanctum below eye level 74 will reward you with the lowest tier of rewards, then up to 78. My bad, 73, then 78 for the tier bump ups, where the most important threshold to reach is actually eye level 80 or higher, technically 81, and then really 83 in the long run. And the idea being that at 80, your Lycia kills start to be I-83 Lycias, which means that they are capable of dropping Original Sin. Related to this, Chains of Castigation will not drop off of a Lycia that was in a tome that was lower than eye level 72, right? Because the drop requirement for Chains of Castigation is eye level 75. So keep that in mind as well. These are all very important things just for, targeting out, like making sure you actually get the things that are worth a lot of money. And that's really all you need in terms of like things to get started with. A lot of the other recommendation and advice you can get is really, really hyper specific Sanctum stuff, which is kind of come from playing more Sanctum or, having like watched some guides on how the Sanctum works. I think I might know a guy who has one, right? So you just play Sanctum and go have fun, right? That's the biggest thing. This is about having fun. This is a game, not a job. Get in there, blast some Sanctum, have a blast. Make sure you upgrade your character. Make sure you take rewards. Make sure you don't sit on rewards that you don't need. Sell them all so you can upgrade your character further so you can blast harder. I think that's everything for me. If you find this video particularly useful, helpful, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, support the video. It really helps. And not just saying that from the perspective of the channel. I mean, it helps the channel, but it more so helps my mission. I just want to get information out to people. That's all I really do this for. I'm just trying to put the knowledge out there so people know what to do with it, right? Or at least know a little bit more, right? There's a lot of information in this game, and so I very much appreciate you guys' support and helping me reach more people. That's more what I'm getting at, right? If you want to see me live on Twitch, that link is in the description. I'll be playing on the league start over the course of the weekend as well. I will probably not be doing something immediately because I'll be playing an SSF, but you'll still get to see me just playing it. You can ask me questions and chat there, as well as, there's a Discord if you want to chat with, chat in the channels there, or, connect with the community, all that good stuff. All those in the description. I'll also make sure that in the description are links to my comprehensive Sanctum guide and my build recommendations for both the event, but also more importantly, the Sanctum itself. You can hear my more detailed thoughts on the Sanctum runners. And I'll include my diary air quotes of my Hierophant from BPL, so you can kind of hear a little bit of the thoughts of a character that did rush its way into Sanctum, as well as to get some nice P-bot information, because I feel like there's an abundance of Hex Blast info out there and not enough Penance Brand info. So I'll make sure you guys get that as well. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.